Well, hello everyone. I'm Jill Bloom, publisher of Roofing Contractor, Walls and Ceilings, and Building Enclosure. Welcome to our weekly legal insight with Trent Cotney, the CEO of Cotney Construction Law. Oh, but wait, big news. Sounds like Cotney Consulting and Cotney Construction Law has merged. We got some big news here, Trent. So I think we should start with that. Can you tell us what's going on?
Sure. So Jill, Art, Rick, always a pleasure to be here. Really enjoy being able to talk to you guys. And, moving into 2021, we thought we'd shake things up a little bit. So, we have continued to expand and grow in both the law realm and in consulting, as well as some of our other companies with lobbying. And part of our strategy was really to combine forces as we kind of go to market internationally and get everything under one umbrella. So I was joking around before we started here. It's basically, same great taste, just different packaging. That's how I view it. But it does allow us to kind of go to market as one, and I think it helps eliminate some confusion among different brands. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to. It's part of our overall strategy plan for 2021, and we're looking forward to the rollout of a new website and some other things to kind of support it.
Well, again, congratulations on that big news. And, I took a peek at your website before we hopped on, Trent. And I mean, the list of awards that you guys seem to earn, very well deservingly earn, is it's 2021, and there's already 4 of them listed up there. But one that I just noticed was that you were the Illinois 2021 Super Lawyers. So congratulations. What is that?
So that is a award that is provided by my peers. So other lawyers vote in Illinois, and they vote for who they believe are super lawyers in various categories. I won it for construction litigation, and it's a huge blessing for me. I've worked very hard in Illinois, obviously with NRCA and CRCA, but also with a lot of other contractors, and we represent them throughout the state. So it was a big surprise for me. I'm very honored, and it is. We'll keep doing our best work. So, thank you to Super Lawyers for issuing that to me. I really appreciate it.
Trent, congratulations. You've managed to do something that you've been encouraging contractors out there to do during the pandemic, and that's really kind of take advantage of this unusual time, reevaluate, and maybe even reinvent your business. Can you walk us through your approach and why you didn't hesitate?
Mm-hmm. And Art, that's a great question. So, owning a business, you have to look at yourself in the mirror often, and it's a painful process. You have to swallow your pride, swallow your ego. You have to, I often say that being an entrepreneur requires you to look over the precipice every single day, and occasionally you fall off, right? And that's just part of being a business owner. And one of the things that we're telling contractors to do, and I'm taking my own medicine, is really take a look at what works and what doesn't. Okay. Think about where the world is going, and we'll talk about some of the interesting survey results that you guys did. And that, by the way, amazing data that came out of that. I'm looking forward to talking about that. I know it's another question, but so one of the things I'm telling contractors to do is take a look at where you are now and where you anticipate the market is heading, right? It's not about what's in front of your face now. It's about what does the world look like a year, 3 years, 5 years from now? How can you innovate? How can you differentiate yourself from your competitors? And part of that is creating a strategic plan and then backfilling it, right? You figure out who do you want to be, and then you create the policies, the procedures, and then, obviously any of the contract help, things like that you need in order to support that. So what I'm really recommending that contractors do is look at a lot of what the Biden administration is signaling right now, right? There's been a huge emphasis on, federal and state government money through these various stimulus plans that are coming out, huge emphasis on renewable energy. There is a significant amount of opportunity out there to work very closely with suppliers, manufacturers to figure out, how can you be tip of the spear rather than just doing the same thing that roofing contractors have been doing for the last 150 years or so. So that's what I'm telling everybody, take that hard look in the mirror, be very honest with yourself about what you're good at and what you're not, and really focus on that good part so that you can grow your business.
And making some of those decisions obviously depends on data, and I know that's a big thing focus for you. Cotney Attorneys and Consultants was involved in our State of the Industry survey and report, which is now on roofingcontractor.com, as well as your column about what roofing contractors and others can expect in 2021. What do you hope contractors get out of the information you're presenting?
So, the one thing that I'm always been a big believer in is be proactive, right? And there's some significant, if you're reading the tea leaves, it's pretty obvious what's going to happen in 2021. One of the biggest things is really focus up and tighten up your subcontractors and 1099 vendors. That is going to be a huge, huge issue in 2021. I mentioned that in the article. It's definitely something that you want to watch out for. And if you're looking at the survey results in particular, there's some great information in there, Art, that that I was really surprised at. There's a lot of stuff in there that I think is beneficial to kind of help portend what the future might be when it comes to the industry.
Got it. Well, we'll dive a little bit deeper into some of those topics today, and of course, in our exclusive webinar with COO John Cotney on February 18th. What can you say about that in preview of that event? What should contractors look forward to?
So it's going to be great. I was talking to John earlier, and for those of you who don't know, John has been involved in the industry for 45 years, really has his finger on the pulse, and he's going to talk about a lot of the current marketing sales strategies, as well as innovations in technology that he sees coming up. Really going to be interesting. Really excited about that. Not just saying that because it's somebody that works here, but at the end of the day, I think that he is primed to really tell the listeners what to expect and to give them insight. And to kind of tie back into some of the first questions that you asked me. This is going to give you a roadmap to how to better your business. That's why I would tune into this, because if you're looking for a cheat sheet, that's what you're going to get when you go to this webinar.
Awesome. Rick, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Art. And Trent, congratulations on continuously improving your enterprise. I really honor that, and I think it's terrific. You got a great team, and you're a great businessman. I think of you that way first, actually, because thanks be to the good Lord, you haven't had to lawyer for me, so we can keep it. We can keep it at that level, as far as I'm concerned. But congratulations.
Thank you.
In your most recently published, just yesterday, article in the Roofing Contractor e-magazine, you wrote about the Department of Labor ruling on independent contractors. And I just would like to get you to talk just a little bit more about that, about the change that now former Secretary Scalia made as one of the last things they did going out the door, on the economics reality testing that is going into place now. How does it compare to the old way? And also, is this good news for roofing contractors or who employ subcontract labor, or are dark clouds forming?
The answer is dark clouds are forming, and let me explain why, Rick. And thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. One of the things that I think is interesting is in the previous administration, they had suggested sort of a scaling back of the test that's normally used to determine whether or not a subcontractor is properly classified. So for the listeners out there, most of you probably use either sub labor or have your sales staff on a 1099 basis. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's exactly what I'm talking about, whether or not you are properly paying them. Okay, there's a difference between paying an employee W-2 and doing withholding versus just stroking a check, right? So under the Trump administration, there were some changes to the guidelines about how this could be viewed, kind of helped contractors a little bit, in my opinion. That was actually passed right before he left office, but it's not going to be implemented till March. Okay, so here's what's interesting, Rick. Okay, just yesterday, and we've been hearing this. We've been hearing it for months, even before Biden took office. Okay, the Biden administration is going to go and try to head up a test that mirrors California's ABC test. Okay, it is a very difficult test for people to pass, and I'll explain in a little bit what that is. But what the Biden administration did yesterday is they revoked they withdrew 3 written guideline opinions that the Department of Labor had published based on this guidance. Okay, one of which dealt directly with misclassification. And they signaled, they said, stay tuned. These changes that happen, they're not going to happen, okay? Because they don't go into effect into March, and the Biden administration isn't going to see those changes. So what is the ABC test? What do contractors have to be worried about that, okay? California, as we all know, heavily regulated state. I love the state. I love going there, but I guarantee you while we're talking, they've already passed another regulation. So the ABC test, what it says, it's basically a 3-part test, and I've got it written down here. It says you have to be, if you have a worker, whether it's a subcontractor that's a laborer, or whether it's somebody that's under you, they got to be, free from your control. Okay, free from your control if they're not an employee. So if they're part of a subcrew, they got to be free from your control. You got to be able to perform tasks that are normally outside of your business model. Okay, I'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, and they've got to customarily be engaged in a business. They got to have an independently established business, meaning that they've got to operate independently. They've got to, figure out different ways to do things that's not dependent on what you're doing. So the problem is that if the worker performs tasks that are normally part of your normal business operation, so let's say they're just hanging shingles all day, right? Mm-hmm. That's a strike against you. And it's a lot different than if they were installing, copper finials, which you probably don't do on a daily basis unless you're a handful of contractors to do that. So the test is a very difficult, heightened standard. And what's going to happen is you are going to see this rulemaking take place. They are going to shape it into that. Then you are going to see increased inspections and increased enforcement. So part of the strategic planning that every contractor needs to do, and most of you use some kind of sub-labor, is you need to shore up that independent relationship. You need to create that distance, not just by paper, but by what happens out in the field. Okay, this is a gray test, right? It's not black or white. It's how close do you come, within that range. And that is kind of what I'm seeing here. That's what causes me concern for the industry, Rick.
Well, I think I will say to all 3 of you and to our listeners that stay tuned. We're going to have some more coaching on this topic, Trent. And I think maybe we're looking at webinars or some more of this, maybe in a little more detail, because a lot of contractors really are going to know how to play that gray area and how to document it in the event that they are called into challenge for what they're doing, because it doesn't do any good how great they are at it if they can't bring it to court, so to speak. Well, give us a silver lining. What else is on your mind this week?
So a lot of interesting things have happened. It has been a crazy 2021, and we've had a lot of optimism. And I think Art, going back to the survey results, I saw 85% of residential contractors are optimistic that there'll be an increase in their business over the next 3 years. That's great. That's great that optimism is out there. And I do think there's a significant amount of opportunity. I don't necessarily, I think that the smart contractors out there are going to be able to find that money. I think it's going to be out there, right? So that I think is a really interesting thing. I think that's going to be great. Other things that I saw there that were favorable, that was good news, is we've had some indication by at least some of the people within OSHA already that even though I anticipate increased rulemaking and I increased inspections, things of that nature, that they may be open to some discussions about some things that may favor contractors as far as notice and things of that nature. It is a very interesting dynamic when you are negotiating with OSHA. So one of the things that we're trying to do is, obviously this isn't it might not necessarily be a OSHA contractor friendly administration, but I do think there's opportunity. I think there's opportunity for the industry to put its best foot forward and potentially make gains in other ways. So what we're trying to do now, Rick, is figure out where are those spots? Where are those spots where we can potentially have an impact, even in an administration that may not be 100% contractor friendly in certain ways.
Thanks for those comments, Trent. And you sound a little bit like a lobbyist. Tell me, Is your lobbyist, Cotney Lobbying, going to stay with the attorneys and consultants, or is it going to be a different entity?
We're all one big happy family, right?
Good. Good.
You know, that's the idea, you know, and we're continuing. We work obviously closely with Craig Breidup, who's doing a fantastic job with us up in DC. And that's where we're looking forward to it. I think there is opportunity. You know, that's how I see it is there's always opportunity. You just have to kind of pivot and figure out, okay, I can't go this direction anymore. I got to go a different direction. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. That the opportunity for workforce training, it's there. You know, I think we're really, you know, Rick, I know you're very passionate about it. I think there's going to be significant gains made in the next couple of years on that. And that's something that's near and dear to my heart as well.
Well, I think your lobbying efforts are essential, to say the least. Jill, back to you.
Thank you. Well, speaking of workforce training, Trent, I've seen several pictures of this warehouse that you have with images. I mean, you've got flags and posters and all kinds of things that go back to the 1800s. Where are you getting all of these incredible posters?
So, you know, I've been in the industry for a little bit now, and over the years, I just started picking up porcelain signs and metal signs and just old stuff. And sometimes it's given to me. You know, I'll go to a convention and somebody will see me and say, "Hey, Trent, you want this?" I found some in barns. I found some in flea markets, live auctions, eBay, you name it. And over the years, I just accumulated a lot of this stuff. And I didn't really realize how much it was until I took it out of my garage. Alina, my wife, is very happy that I've done that. And once we started putting them all up, and I still got a few more, we got over 300 plus signs up there.
Wow.
It's great. It's basically, my employees have said it's the Cracker Barrel of roofing. That's what it looks like right now. So it's interesting. It puts a fun theme behind a lot of the training that we're doing out there.
Well, I'm sure it creates a lot of conversations just seeing them all up there, but
Right.
always great to talk to you, Trent. Lots of topics to cover, and you always have great insight. So thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you to everybody watching for joining us as well. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to Trent. I think it's still cotneycl.com.
Yep, same place.
All righty. Or you can go to roofingcontractor.com or wconline.com to find all kinds of great content and articles that Trent may be writing for us as well. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Make sure you also mark your calendars for February 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern for the State of the Industry webinar with John Kinney, who's going to be speaking. But everyone stay safe and healthy, and we look forward to seeing you next time.